helps if I turn off my mic. I already turned it on once. How you guys doing? I'm Lee Love, and I am Photo Mentor TV here tonight. We do this every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and glad you could join us. Hopefully you're joining us live. If not, we're thrilled to have you on the replay anyway. Listen, we've got a great show tonight. Really, some great images I'm excited to show you guys. Tonight is photo review night. If you're not familiar with that, we do this every the first Friday of every month, where you submit your work and I look at it and I give you feedback on it from a professional standpoint. It's not about whether I like it or not, although I certainly will comment on that. But it's really about whether the images work or not, artistically and technically. And we encourage anyone to submit their work, no matter what kind of camera you're using or what kind of experience you have. But the thing tonight, it's amazing, is I think you guys are sandbagging me. I think you're messing with me, because some of the work is just fantastic, and I'm just blown away by the stuff you guys submitted. So thank you very much. I really, really enjoy looking at your work. And more importantly, I really enjoy giving you feedback to help you improve. So that's the whole purpose of doing this. We also, if you are a social person and you have on all the social media stuff, you're always welcome to follow us on Facebook, Instagram. It'd be great if you would like or subscribe to the YouTube channel, trying to get a couple of more subscribers on there, or on Twitter. And we update that during the week of different things that are going on in the industry and just what we're up to. So anyway, and last but not least, we also have the Facebook group. For those of you that are members, we've got some really great people in there. Thank you very much, guys, for being a part of that. And you can go and join that by going to photomentor.tv/join. Fill out just a couple of questions about yourself. Then go to the Facebook group and request to join the group there. It's love to have you there. It's a little different than most groups. I try very hard not to get into too much technical stuff, although I certainly can do that. That's actually easy. But I try to really focus more on the aesthetics and helping you improve as an artist, more so than just as what I call a photo mechanic. So anyway, let's see. I think that's it. We got a bunch of stuff to cover tonight. Trying to think here if I have anything else I need to tell you about. I think that's pretty much it. I should mention that if you're interested in learning more about what we're doing here and taking it up to another level, then you might want to go and check out Photo Mentor Academy. This is something we haven't launched yet. I'm working on it right now. We're a little bit behind on it, but still, no big deal. When it's ready, it'll be ready, and you guys will enjoy it. So if you're interested in joining that and getting information about when that becomes available, let me know. Go there and fill out your name and email, and we'll let you know about that. That's really a whole nother deal. It's taking what I'm doing here to a whole nother level, group coaching, a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on there. But anyway, neither here nor there. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight are going to be maybe a little different to some of you guys, maybe a little foreign. I don't know. I know we have a lot of new listeners tonight and viewers. And hello to Kenda, by the way. Thank you for joining us. What a beautiful voice she has. Kenda says just an amazing singer. I was really blown away by some music she sent me that I was like, did you sing this? Anyway, really nice to have you on board. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. But so let me back up a second. One of my pet peeves and one of the reasons for starting Photo Mentor TV and Photo Mentor Academy is, frankly, frustration. I'm just frustrated that I see so many people working and looking to try and help new photographers, but it's all about the technical. It's very little of it is about the aesthetics. And I have a problem with that, quite frankly. And so the reason is because I think it's backwards. I think people are trying to teach photography, what I call old school, Not that I haven't been around a long time, but that it's, I think with today's technology, I think we're going about it the wrong way. So let me kind of share a couple of concepts with you before I get into the reviews, because this will set the tone for why I do what I do, and maybe some of the feedback I'm going to give you about your work. So the first thing is, if I can find my right stuff here. I got so much stuff going on, you guys wouldn't have no idea. Okay, here we go. So if I think this is it here. So if you look at the way what's going on right now, and the way most people, not everybody, but most people are teaching photography, it's based on this model where they want to teach you about the exposure. It's all about manual exposure, shooting on manual. Then it's all about, at least this is what I see, and the people I follow, and one of the comments I see in these Facebook groups. Then it's about post-processing. Okay, shooting raw, so if you make mistakes, you can correct it. If you overexpose, you can bring down the background, et cetera, et cetera. You might get into doing some of the information about, the scene and what it takes to see an image and to really recognize an image. But most of the time it's not. I think that most of the time they're talking mainly about exposure and processing. Now, if you're lucky, a few instructors and a few people will come in and tell you about telling a story. That's composition, in other words, how to use leading lines. So there's a little more of that going on. But very few people are teaching you how to look at light, how to see, how to really recognize an image, even if you have your camera with you. So mainly, again, they're focusing on the exposure process and then the post-processing. So that leaves these two items that's really the whole focus of most people's education around photography. Now, this was fine when we were talking about film photography. When I was shooting film, I didn't have a choice. I had to really understand the exposure triangle, had to understand light metering, EV exposures, things like DMAX, which you guys probably never heard of, and things like the zone system. And you really had to understand how you use your external light meter. That's not really necessary anymore, but yet people are still teaching photography like you need to know that stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, you do need to know it. Okay, but you don't need to know it up front, meaning you don't need to know that before you start being a photographer. My analogy is, it's like, what if you just signed up for a driving course, and the old instructor came out and said, "Okay, son, get in the seat there. We're going to teach you how to drive a 1965 Buick Skylark standard transmission." And you're like, "Wait a minute, I wanted to come here and learn how to drive." Nope, got to learn how to drive a manual transmission first before you can drive to learn the rules of the road. That wouldn't make sense to you. It'd be stupid, right? You want to learn the rules of the road, the laws, that type of things, how to maneuver in traffic. That is the same analogy I believe that's going on with photography. People are trying to teach you to shoot on manual, which is great, and there's absolutely a place to shoot on manual. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you don't. I shoot on manual once in a while as well. But it's just another mode. It's not, it doesn't make you a better photographer. And that's my complaint. So I think, more importantly, that what should be done is that there's the method that I've come up with and that I teach my students is really more about the opposite. It's backwards. I believe it's more important to learn to see first. In other words, how do you recognize an image? How do you understand light? How do you learn how light works? What happens when you look at the same scene at 9 o'clock in the morning, at noon, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 7 o'clock in the evening? Okay, depending on where you live, of course. What's the same exact scene look like? Learning how to understand light and recognize an image is more important than learning to expose it or process it. And the reason is the camera will do a lot of that nowadays. You can shoot on aperture priority. I don't care if you even shoot on automatic or even if you shoot with an iPhone. The thing is, if you can't see the image properly, then it doesn't matter what the it can be perfectly exposed piece of nothing, okay? The second thing is telling a story. Your image has to tell a story. There has to be a point to your story. and a point to your image. And so when I ask people about their images and they photograph, I want to know, what were you thinking? What made you shoot that image? Why did you pick that image? Excuse me, why did you pick that subject? All of that is important, and it's more important than anything else. And the reason is, I've been doing this a long time. I've never had a client come to me and say, Lee, there's a little bit of noise in that image. We're not interested in it. Or that, you know, what mode did you shoot that on? Or the ISO, you know, what's the aperture that they don't care. In fact, I could tell you so many stories about where they typically will pick the image I dislike the most. They will pick it every time. And it's not just me. And the reason is they are looking for something different. They're not looking for an image from a photographer. They're looking for emotion. And that's what you have to get across. So it's really, really important, I believe, to focus more on learning to see and learning to tell a story, and then work on the exposure and the processing, the post-processing. They're certainly important parts. I'm not saying they're not, but they're not what you start with. And I can prove this over and over again, but I'm not going to tonight. But I'll show, as I show you some of these images, I'm going to point out where that I think that really works. Okay. All right. So enough of that. I don't mean to be ranting on this. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me about it. But it's important, and that's why I repeat. I want you to be better photographers. I want you to be better artists, and I want you to learn to see like an artist, not like a photo mechanic. And everything I see over and over and over again is all about ISO and aperture and shutter speed and lenses and bokeh, and none of that matters if you can't tell a story and you can't see the image. So, all right, so let's get into some of the reviews here tonight, and I'll give you some examples of what I'm talking about. The first thing I want to show you is not necessarily a review. It's an image that was shot by, now the reviews are normally done anonymously. This was not a review. This was an image that I selected. This was shot by Aaron Jerrigan. Is that right, Aaron? I don't know. I'm awful with names. I apologize if I get your name wrong. It's definitely Aaron. And this was a photo that Aaron shot. Many of you that are in our Facebook group saw this image. I asked her to post it there. And there's something about it. This image is just really, really well done. And I don't know how much she was really. I mean, I know she had some help. I know the drill team manager or coach was helping them, and that was fine. But it doesn't really matter. What works? This image works. That's the point. It really, really works. And the reason it works is for a number of reasons. The first thing is that it has. See here, I have. The reason it works is that it really follows some common language that we use to communicate visually. The first thing it uses is lines across the top. The lines really draw you into the image, and they are not distracting. They actually add to the symmetry and to the to draw you into the image. The other thing is the shape, of course. The shape, there's 7 of these elements I'm going to talk about here in a second. I probably should have started with that, and that's these right here. So line, shape, form, space, texture, value, and color. These are the 7 most common elements in design and art. And these are the tools that we use as photographers to help tell our story. If you learn these tools and you learn how these work, I promise you, your images will be much, much more effective. Okay, so that's what she's doing here. She's using at least 3 of these and maybe more. She's using a shape. Obviously, that V shape draws you into the image. Your eye doesn't wander. You don't need to know where to look. You know exactly what's going on. And of course, the use of space also helps you understand the depth of the image. Remember, we're working in an environment where there's 3 focal planes. For 3 planes we're working with in a photograph. We live in a 3-dimensional world, obviously, right? And we're trying to communicate that and use a 2-dimensional medium to articulate that, which is very difficult. So there are a couple of things you can do. You can use space, you can use lines, you can use color, all these tools that I mentioned to help give dimension to your image. But the other thing that you got to keep in mind is that you have a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. It's not all flat. And everything, and so many images I see that just frustrate the heck out of me. I see these people take maybe you've done it yourself, okay? Not being critical of you, just trying to help you improve. They'll take a family and they'll stick them in a field, an empty field, which doesn't make sense to me, but that's a whole nother topic, which I'll rail on. If you're a member of the group, you've already heard me railing about this. But anyway, and they photograph these people. There's no story there. The sky's washed out, and they're just sitting there in this middle of the field, and it doesn't make any sense. There's no depth to it. There's no story. There's no reason for them to even be there. And so what happens is your eye wanders around the frame, and you're trying to figure out, what is it? What am I supposed to be looking at? What's the most important thing? Okay, great. I got a family in the middle of the frame, but what else is going on? Oh, wow, look, there's something over there, and there's a piece of trash in the background. So there's no point to the image is what I'm trying to get at. So what Aaron has done here, in my opinion, has done an excellent job of making a point, of taking what would be a basic standard photo. It's nothing special. I mean, it's not, we're not talking about art here per se. It's pretty decent. It's a decent image, and she's taken and she's made it interesting. And by doing that, you all of a sudden are drawn right into the photo. Now, there's some things, if I wanted to be super critical, I could go in and talk about a little bit of post-processing, maybe lighten up the faces and some things. But that's an aesthetic issue. That's something that she has to decide on her own, how she's going to tone it, how she's going to color it. Those are very, very personal. And each one of us are going to have our own opinion on that. So I don't talk too much about that. What I'm trying to get you to see, though, is the structure of the image. That's what's most important. How you tone it, how you make it look is up to you and what you're trying to get across. Anyway, Aaron, great job. Excellent photo on that. And thank you very, very much for sharing that with us, because it's my hope is that that you guys will learn from it, and that you'll see what other people are doing, whether it's good or bad, and that you'll use this to improve your own images. I look at other people's work, not a lot. I'm not studying it. I'm like, but I look at things when I see them, and I'm like, and I try. And here's a question I ask myself. Maybe you should try the same thing. Collect a bunch of images. Pinterest is a great place to do this. Drag images into a private, I want to say box. I can't think what they call them now. Anyway, and store them in there, and then go back and look at them and ask yourself, what is it I like about this image? Why am I drawn to that image? And try and break it down and analyze what it is about the photo that you like. And that will help you go a long way in understanding your own work as well. Okay. All right. So let's go here. So let me bring in our first, our first image. I think this is our first one. Yes. Okay. There's that one, and this one. Okay. So our first image is, let's see, this is 8. Okay. This is our first image for the review for tonight. This was submitted by, and again, these are all anonymous, and I do this anonymously, not because I don't want you to get credit for it. I do this because I want new photographers to submit their work and not be embarrassed by getting a critique on it. So I want you to submit your work, and if people are, maybe I'm wrong, but if you are embarrassed or you put your name on it and I say something you don't like about it, then you may not want to submit stuff. But I'm trying to get you to improve, not demean you or in any way criticize your work or you personally. Okay, so this image is the first image. This was done by GT, and GT is actually a working pro photographer. And so I'm going to start with this one. It's an interesting image. It's obviously street photography. I think this is what this person does a lot of street photography. Interesting individual. I love looking for interesting people to photograph. Technically it's exposed properly. Excuse me, the problem I have with the image, I think where it's lacking and not what could use some work, is that it's not, there's something else going on here. In other words, I want to see more. There's something happening back here. It's not that it's out of focus. This is a very interesting individual, and I think because it's cropped the way it is, it's a little out of context. And so I would say that this is a good image technically, but aesthetically it needs more context. It needs more story. There's got to be something else going on here. I want to know more about it. And so as I look at this, I think, wow, who is this person? Where are they? Are they on the street? What's the background? Are they just walking by? Maybe it's just me, but I want it, again, the photo begs that it's asking for more information. Now, it's certainly cropped properly enough that it's not distracting, and that's the other problem you worry about, that if it's too wide and there's too much going on. But of course, with the shallow depth of field that they're using, that would pretty much be taken care of. But I would say that this image technically is good, but it needs more context. And I don't really know what's going on there, and I'd like to see more of it. So that's the first one. All right. The second one was submitted by RG, and this is amazing. This image, this person has only been photographing. Most of the people that submitted images are less than a year or less, and that's what amazed me about this. And I love the dark background and the tones of the animal. It definitely fits the what we would call the values. So it uses a wide range of values, both bright whites and darks, and that helps draw your eye into the image, which is a good thing to do. It also has some form to it. Again, the shape of the animal really adds to the image and draws you in there. Of course, who doesn't like horses, right? They're great. But so I would say the thing that I think needs to be done to make it more impactful is it does blend in a little bit with the background, which is not too bad, but it's a little loose. So if you were to take this RG and you were to take it and maybe crop it a little bit more, I'm using the rule of thirds here a little bit. It makes it a little more impactful because you're not shooting the legs of the animal. They kind of distract you. They don't really. I don't think they draw you into the image like they should. And if this were, I also would suggest you learn a little bit about lighting, flash photography, because a little bit of flash would really make this image pop. Now, if you look, there's just a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Here, let me move in here. There's a little bit of a catch light here, which is important because that really makes the eyes come alive. Without that catch light there, it's kind of the animal looks, a person looks dead. It really needs to be a little stronger. Actually, you could even go a little tighter than that. So that really helps. But if you had that flash, even an on-camera flash, it doesn't have to be very much. Just pop that flash up, and you'll be amazed, even outdoors, how much it'll just make those colors pop a little bit. But I'd say this is a good start. I know you haven't been shooting that long, and you're trying to photograph more animals, and I think this is a good start. Again, drawn to the values really helps. This is what partially if this animal in this image work. If it was a little different or it didn't have that in there, I think it wouldn't be as strong. But I think that's a good. And again, the composition there's nothing wrong with it. It just needs to be a little bit looser, I think, as far as cropping. And this is a common problem. I see this with a lot of people, quite frankly, is that we include too much in the frame, and it's okay. I'd rather you shoot loose and then crop, as opposed to the opposite, where it's too tight and you don't have any room, like the image we had before. So again, good job on this one, and thanks very much for submitting this one. Keep working on this. This is good. Again, a little bit of lighting, and you're going to be in good shape with this your work. Okay, this is another one. This is not the same photographer. When I got this image, I know this person. They're kind of a student of mine, somebody I've been kind of mentoring over the years. And she does a lot of equestrian work. Really, her work is really improved, I got to tell you. This is not a great example. I think her work is much better than this. But the reason I'm laughing is because she told me, she said, She said, Lee, I'm a farm girl, and I want you to be blunt. I want you to be critical of it. Don't go easy on me on this. So I got a laugh out of that. You know, I'm not gonna be mean to anybody. That's not my style. But but I will be honest, because I want her to improve and I want her to see her do well, just like I want all you guys to. So that's the reason for commenting the way I am on this stuff. Okay, so here's where I would say, first of all, beautiful animal, beautiful horse, and of course a gorgeous woman as well in the scene. And so you got two great elements there to work with. The problem, and she's using lighting, okay, off-camera flash, which is terrific. It looks terrific. As you can, again, as I was trying to show you before, look at the difference in the animal. Look at the difference in the color, how much that it pops. Look at the catch light in the animal's eye. It just really makes a big difference by using off-camera flash and strobes. So where the problem, though, is that there's some things that are going on that I think are distracting. Now, you could make an argument to say this over here, this gate on the right is giving the image depth, but I believe what it's doing is it's distracting, and it takes away from the focus of the image. So one of the things that I try and do is, I call it a hero, but you can call it whatever you want. Basically, what I'm trying to do is, what is the most important object in the frame? Okay, what do I want people to go to first, and what do I want them to look at? And that's what you have to that's what you have to decide for yourself when you're working on your images. So the first thing is that, you know, in this frame right here, what is it you want them to look at? All right, so I would say that it's the horse and the woman, right? Okay. Now, the difficulty, couple things. Number one, the light behind the animal and over here in the gate is distracting, and it draws your attention away from the frame. So you want to kind of change. That would be the first thing I would change. The second thing is, so let's look at what that looks like. So if we were to crop this a little bit, okay, and use more of those, you know, something like that. Now, the problem is when you do that, what happens? Okay, now it's actually not too bad, but this young lady here would be better off if she was standing up next to the animal. And so I would say if she was on this side of the animal, standing up with her head maybe leaned into the animal, into the horse, or petting it, or looking in its eyes, or making, you know, having some kind of connection with the horse, I think that would have been a much stronger image and would have worked a little bit better. But the thing is, but even cropping it this way works pretty well, I think. You could, let's see, is there any more room down here to go? Let's see here. A little bit, but not too much. So you could go a little more like that. Now, you can always, you know, again, there's the whole post-processing model. You could always go through and dodge and burn the background some, and over here and darken this out, and that would be the next thing I'd probably do. But the thing is, you've got a really great subject here, a beautiful woman, a gorgeous horse. It would have been nice to put them on a little bit closer level here so that your eye is drawn directly to that. Then you could have cropped it a little tighter, and it would have drawn the eye right into that. So anyway, that's just that's one of the things that I would have done with this picture. So it's a great start. The lighting's terrific. You've got terrific subjects. You're lucky to have such great animal and a beautiful woman to work with. So you've got good quality subjects there, which is the important part, right? If you want to take interesting pictures, put more interesting things in front of your lens. Well, you've got that, but use that a little more. And this is obviously, I'm assuming it's her horse. So you want to use the emotion of her and that animal together and connect them together. I think that would have made it a little more interesting. So, okay. Let's see. And hello, Mario. Yeah, the image of the crop, definitely better. You you would be up against clearing up some of the whiskers, or saying we should clear up some of the whiskers, or said would I be against cleaning up some of the whiskers or fly sways in the post? Is that on this image or I think that was probably the image before you were probably talking about. Sorry, I'm a little behind on that. Yeah, you're probably talking about this one. Yeah, you can clean that up. There's nothing wrong with that. Those are individual decisions that you have to make, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't get the composition right and the story or the emotion right, then the rest of the stuff is just kind of like window dressing, right? It just kind of it doesn't really make any difference, because you're going to clean up. It's probably not the best way to put it. I call it describing as putting. I guess one of the ways you could say is you can't make a purse out of a sow's ear, or you can't put can't put lipstick on a pig. So if the image isn't there to begin with, you can do a lot of things. Sometimes you can save it. Sometimes you can make it a little better. But if you start with a great composition and a great storytelling first, the rest of it's easy. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to think about. Okay, let's see what we got here next. This next one, and again, if you have any questions on these things, you guys please feel free to... sorry, I'm turning my head. I'm trying to see the comments. I should have put that on my iPad. Okay, so this next is a really interesting image. This is one I didn't expect, but it's nice, and it's an image. Was submitted by WA, and again, oh, by the way, the image before, the horse image I was showing you, she'd been shooting about 5 years or less. This person has been shooting for 1 year or less. And I think they described it to me as just kind of they're in their backyard, and this bird came and just flew on their flagpole, and they captured it. So it was just a kind of a great capture, but there's some pretty interesting things about it. First of all, you got to be quick on that. You got to be thinking about that stuff. But the other thing is, it definitely has the value of colors in there. That really makes this work. Composition's pretty good. I'm not sure about the headroom. I kind of go back and forth on that. I'll be honest with you. You could crop it a little bit to make it, and this would be a personal thing if you thought maybe it needed to be a little more like that. It does, I believe, draw your eye into the bird a little more, and not so much headroom there. But the color is fantastic, and it really does make the image work a lot. You could even probably punch up the color even a little bit more. But because where these colors are on the color wheel and the spectrum, they're complementary and colors, and so it really works. Anytime you have a color that's like a blue, where's my color chart here? Don't I have my color wheel here somewhere? Here we go. You guys probably can't see this. So if you have this, this color wheel, what you'll notice is there's yellow up here, and then blue is over here somewhere. Okay. So these are images. These are not only primary images, but they're also complementary colors. And so what happens is when you have these two opposites, they always work well together. I often like to use blue as a background, as you can see here in this picture, and then warmer tones as a foreground. And the reason is because of this exact issue, because they're complementary colors against each other. So if you learn more about color theory and color science, which is something I'm trying to find the right person to come on and interview to talk about this, you guys, to help you understand color theory a little better. But if you start looking at colors that way, you'll find that alone can be can make your images really stand out. And also something you should look for when you're trying to do your own design, or if you're working with families and things like that, and you know what your background's going to be like, or you know the sky is really blue that day, and you know you're going to be shooting outside, think about the colors you suggest that they wear. You wouldn't want the same color. You wouldn't want a green or a blue, probably. You want an orange or something, a solid color. That would be really nice, complementary color. So anyway, this definitely works as far as that. I also think it works as far as shape is concerned. Oops. I think it also works as far as shape. And where's my shape? Oh, there's my color. There's my shape right there. I also think it works as far as the shape of the wing, and then also the vertical pole really draws your eye right up into it. So I think that's a win right there as well. And you could maybe even give it, say that texture applies to it because of the wings and also the background, the sky. But definitely, I would say the main thing that makes this image work is obviously technically it's right on the money, proper exposure. It was really, even though it's a little bit backlit, it still was fine. The background's not blown out. There's detail in it, and the focus is sharp, but the color really is what makes the thing pop. And so good job on that one, MA or WA. Nice job on that. Very, very good. Okay. All right. So let's see. What's Judy saying here? Judy says, sorry guys, need more monitors. 5 monitors is not enough here. So Judy is saying, so I can read what Judy's saying. Maybe an artist or painter as a guest on the color wheel versus a photographer. They're always choosing colors. Exactly. That would be a great way to go. And that's actually the person I'm looking and talking to is a printer. They do printing, professional printing. And so they're really, that's their whole job is color and mixing color and matching color. That would be one thing. But I agree, a painter would be an excellent choice for someone to come on and talk to us about. There's a woman that wrote a book on color theory. She does a lot of public speaking. I've reached out to her. I haven't heard back from her, though. And I asked her if she'd be interested in doing an interview. But I think it'd be very, very helpful for everyone to learn more about color theory, because color is very much the same as the other things I've mentioned to you here as far as these items right here. I mean, you could take each one of these, and I'm only showing the top 7. You can break each one of these down. You can take lines, and I've done a whole class or show on this. I think Sue Ann posted a link to the article and that was written about it. It's not just lines. It's okay. What are vertical lines? What does that denote? What's a zigzag line? Horizontal lines? All those things have a meaning, and the brain interprets them differently. Form, color. So color is the same thing. Color probably more than anything. Red versus blue versus green versus white versus black. That means something to us, or we interpret it as something the human brain does. And so by knowing what that is, it can have a lot to do with the colors that you pick. I'll be honest with you guys, when I look at images nowadays that impress me, I used to look at lighting. Now, I'm a big lighting guy. If you guys have watched the show before, I love lighting. I'm obsessed with it almost. I teach lighting. And I can't even watch a TV show or a movie anymore, hardly, because if the story isn't super compelling, then I'm watching the background and I'm watching the set design and I'm watching the lighting. I'll look at the lighting on the tight shot, and then when they go cut to a wide shot, I notice the lighting's completely different. So I'm always studying those things. Anyway, the point is that has a lot to do with your images and your interpreting and the way you're communicating. And the same thing with color. Color is very, very important in that way. So that's why I want to focus on it. So anyway, all right, let's see what else we got here. We got another image here, guys. So, okay, there's this one. You'll like this one, I think. Okay, this image was submitted by HP. And again, this is what blows me away. HP has only been shooting a year or less. And that's why I said at the beginning of the show, I think you guys are kidding me. I think you guys are messing with me, because these images are stunning for somebody that's been only shooting a year or less. I don't know, it's just fantastic. And this is a good example of that. This image works on a number of different levels. It works, I would say on the issue of shape and also lines, okay? The lines, of course, would be, let me pull this brush up here. The lines, of course, would be that this line right here. Oops, my red got disappeared. So I think the line here is excellent because it draws you right in. And there's a line here. This is typically called framing. When you put something in the foreground, it draws your attention to it. It's placed perfectly, I believe. Here's an example where if you were to move 6 inches left or 6 inches right, you could ruin a picture or you can make a picture. And I think the composition on this one works perfectly. The hands, again, that draw you right into the person's face. It's just really, really well done. I don't know how else I can say. It's just an excellent image, and I can't believe this person's only been shooting for a year or less. This would be an image that I'd definitely be proud of to have in my portfolio. So a lot of good things happening here. I think it not only works on, on lines, but I think it also works on form. Again, as I've kind of shown you these shapes here, and also on the space because of the depth of field. Kind of, there's nothing distracting. There's no bright lights back here, nothing to go in and draw your eye is immediately drawn to one place, and that is the eyes, which is what you want to have happen. And so anyway, I don't know if this is how much this was done on purpose, but it's an excellent capture. Great job. Really good composition on this one. So, and I also like that the individual's not looking at the camera, because again, that also has a meaning to it. If someone looks into the camera, they're connecting directly to you. Okay, if they're trying to sell you something or tell you something, they're like they're talking right at you. But if they're looking off, they're trying to communicate in a different way. You're kind of observing then, a little bit of voyeur, and it gives you a whole nother feeling of the image. And that's this one right here. I think it is exactly what it does. It gives you a way you're looking into the image, you're observing, and I think it makes it much more impactful as far as an emotion is concerned than if they were looking at you. If they're looking at you, it can sometimes take away from the image. But this one I think works very, very well. So again, I like the image, but it's not whether I like it or not. All these reviews I try to tell you guys, not whether I like the image or not, it's whether it works or not. Now, I tend to like the images that work, of course, that makes more sense. But I think this image absolutely works. It's perfect. And not much I can say that I would suggest that you improve on this one. So, good job on that one, HP. Nice job. Okay. So the next one is this is another one this is another one that gets me. Again, less than a year, which is again hard to believe. I think you guys are kidding me. Now it's a little bit of it's an illustration, of course, combination, but I love compositing stuff myself. Frankly, my story is I became a photographer because I couldn't draw. I loved art classes. It was one of my favorite classes, but I wasn't very good at it. So I took up photography because I realized I can still create. I can still take what's in my head and put that down on film and make images out of those things, but I couldn't draw very well. Well, along comes computers and technology, and now you can take and combine the two, and then you get this kind of capability. So this is an amazing image. I think they did an excellent job on this one as well. It's, again, a composition, but there's a story behind it. So it's not like it's just, whoops. So it's not like they just, threw something together or to try and make an image work because, they didn't have anything else to do with it, or they're trying to fix something. That wasn't it at all. It really just, the image just works on its own. And I think, to me, what I love about this image also, and why it works, the composition is good. It's storytelling. There's got the key elements there. The sky is fits to it. The water under the water works. But what I think, it's all about storytelling. And I think this does a great job of storytelling. It's very creative, as Sue Ann says, and it's just terrific. You know, as opposed to, now look, don't take this wrong, you guys don't get mad at me, but I see so many people doing the same thing over and over. They're not doing anything creative, and that's thing. What do they do with a baby? They put them, you know, the milk bath or something like that, or the mom, the pregnant mother, they put doing a milk bath. I've seen that so many times. It's so boring. There's nothing creative about it. There's a whole bunch of those kinds of things. As I mentioned before, people in a field or sunsets or smoke bomb photos. I just over and over. So people will see one thing and then they copy it. Now look, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with trying to understand how something works. If you see a photo that you really like, then absolutely try and recreate it, okay, to learn how the process works. But to just do a straight copy of the image, there's no creativity there. And that's not going to improve your photography. It's also not going to improve if you're trying to do this for client work. They're not, why would they select you over 10 other people that are doing the exact same thing? So that's why I'm saying I think this is an amazing image. It does a great job. Really, really well done. And I got to tell you, I'm just blown away that this person has only been doing this about a year or less. Now, the funny thing is, I got to tell you, I don't think they'll mind me telling you this. This is not, all their work doesn't look like this, okay? So some of they sent me another image they were trying to fix with a family on a beach, and I'm not going to show you that one. And it needed a lot of work, okay? And they admitted it. They were asking me, hey, Lee, what would you do to fix this? How would you fix this image? Because I wasn't using lighting and this, and I know now what I'm doing wrong, but I got, you know, I'm really nervous about it. How can I fix this so I can make my client happy? I get that. There's nothing wrong with that. But so not everything we do is a winner, right? Sometimes we try some things and they're losers, and that's okay. That's part of the process. There's no failing there. I'd say that my failures are more along the lines of taking what's in my head and conveying it in print or on the monitor. That's how I judge success of an image. So it's like this, okay? I have my idea is like this, and the image, or you know, the idea is like this, and the image rarely matches what I see in my head. Once in a while, you'll have a happy accident and actually be better than what you thought it was going to be, but chances are it's not. So anyway, nice, again, one last time, nice job on this one. Really well done. Even, I don't know if the image at the bottom was already done, or if they added the sparkles, or how much of this they added. But it's excellent, good composition. It works as well. That's the other thing about composition, about composites, is the lighting has to make sense. If it doesn't look right. People don't think it fits correctly. And I think this one did a good job. Okay. So let's see. Do we have any questions? Yes. Sue Ann says it's very creative. I agree, Sue Ann. Excellent on that one as well. So the last one I have here is another image, and this one is also a fantastic image, I got to tell you. This is an image that was submitted. This image works on so many levels, it's really hard to decide on where to start. Now, it may not be fair, because I would tell you that one of the things is because I photograph people. You know, I love photographing people, so this is right up my alley. So if you were to show me a landscape photo, I may not be as excited about it, but because I think this is an interesting photo, I think that's one of the reasons that I like it so much. But there's a couple. Let me tell you what works about it. What works about it, first of all, are the values. The tones of the image are perfect. The image is exposed absolutely perfect. I don't know how you could make it any better than this. If you look at go back here. If you look at the color, whoops, not the color. The tones, again, okay. You got black, you got white here on the nails and the eyes. It's just The dynamic range is absolutely there. So it's exposed absolutely perfectly. You can't get any better than that. So the tones or the values are excellent. The other thing, of course, is the shape is great. You can't there's the shape of the and the emotion. The emotion is definitely there. Nobody could say it's not. And so even if you cropped it, I mean, you could crop it, but I think it works exactly the where it does right now. But even if you were to crop it, maybe I think you'd probably want to hear something like that. Even that works. And that I mean, that look on that child's face is just precious, just precious. And again, this person, if they're telling me the truth, they said they're only been shooting 1 to 2 years, so less than 2 years, and this is the kind of work they're doing. So I'm a little bit envious. I got to tell you, this is fantastic. It's so great to see this kind of work done, and it's just fantastic. So, I wish I could tear it apart, or not. I don't want to tear it apart. I wish I could make some criticism. I guess if I had any input, it might be, and I'm not sure this would work actually, but I would say if this were me, I might try and put a little bit of rim light to separate them just a little bit from the background, but I'm not sure it would make much difference. And the reason is it might actually detract from the photo, because the skin tones and the range, the value range I'm talking about is so perfect that it just, you don't really want to draw the attention away from the individual to the background. The background is not important. The background doesn't exist. This could be just as easily on white seamless. It's totally, this could be anywhere, anytime, any place. So I don't even know if that would do it, but that would be the only thing I could even think of if you were to even make any suggestions. But like I said, that's pretty an aesthetic decision, and not one that I think would make any difference, would not really improve the image that much at all. So it really is fantastic. I think anybody would be proud to have this in their portfolio. So, and here's the other thing about it. This looks like it's just one light, and it's probably not, I'm sure it's not expensive light. It's just, so it's not about the gear. It's not about the studio or any of that kind of stuff. This could be anywhere. It could be in a basement, or with a sheet behind them, or a black piece of cloth, anything. But that lighting and the expression and the emotion is perfect. And now catching that expression is going to be tough, but the lighting, even if you do the lighting just the way it's done here, this is absolutely perfect lighting on this. So anyway, I wish it's really, really great. So that's why I said you guys are amazing. You rock it. I'm telling you, just fantastic work. I'm just blown away at the stuff that you guys are doing out there, and it inspires me. I got to tell you that. It inspires me because it's so easy to get bummed out for me to see what's going on when I go to these groups and I enter comments and I try and educate people on what's going on, and they attack me and, personally, and, oh, you're just doing this because of that, and, and they don't understand that it's not about that. I don't care about that. It's not about me. If you guys notice, I don't ever show much of my work. Why is that? Because I'm afraid? Because I'm not very good? No, that's not it at all. It's not about me. It's about you. I want you to get better. I know how to do this stuff. I don't care about me. So I don't show my work because I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about you. I want to show off your work. And so when I see this kind of stuff that you guys are submitting, it really it does me good, because I feel it's working. You guys are doing the work, and you're doing amazing work. And I take such pride, not that I've had anything to do with it, but I take such a joy in seeing that you're out there being creative, and that you're using the tools that you have to create and to work like an artist. So anyway, just terrific. Thank you very much. I wish, I would ask you that a couple of favors I would ask you. Number one, if you like what we're doing here, please tell some other people. I've had, Kenda told her friend. I appreciate her doing that. share this if you think it's of value. The other thing is, like the pages and things like that. That's great. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That always helps. But just let other people know if you see this as of value to them and helpful. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I started the first Friday of the month photo reviews was, again, most of my motivation is frustration. I saw all these people and they post these images in these Facebook groups, and they're looking for constructive criticism, and that's great. I'm glad to see that. But the problem is, it's all about likes, or the comments are, "Oh, this is amazing," and I'm looking at it going, "This is pretty mediocre." Now, I am all about encouragement. Don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for advice on, I don't know, financial matters, you wouldn't go to your gardener or your guy that cuts your yard or whatever and ask, "Hey, I'm thinking about investing. What would you do?" And he says, "Oh, you should go with this stock." And go, "Oh, okay." That doesn't do any good, right? You want to go to somebody that has some experience in that kind of stuff. And that's the frustrating part, because when you ask for advice in these groups on these Facebook things, you have no idea what their credentials are. You don't know whether they've been shooting a week or 10 years or 100 years. You don't know if they're a master photographer or if they're just some guy with an iPhone. So the input is of not much value, in my opinion. It's great that you get likes on your work, but the point is, that's why I started this, because I wanted to give you real constructive criticism, real value that shows you how to improve as an artist. Not whether I like it or not, whether somebody else likes it or not. That's why I try not to comment too much on the toning and the look and the feel and the post processing, because that's so personal. You may like one thing, I may like something else. I like big, deep, vibrant colors. You may not. You may like muted tones. You may like black and white. But the composition and whether the image works or not, whether it communicates, that's less personal, less individual than it is emotionally and human. So that's why I'm trying to focus on that. So anyway, I hope this helps to you. I would say that, again, just to kind of review, remember, don't listen to these people that tell you have to shoot on manual to be a professional photographer, or that that's the only way to go. There's nothing wrong. I'm not against shooting on manual. Don't get me wrong. I shoot on manuals, but learn to focus on seeing and telling a story first. If you work on those two things first, I promise you, you will become a much better photographer. Now, and I'll leave you with this one last thing. I do a lot of magazine work, and I also worked as a photojournalist for a number of years. And I think that's where I learned a lot about how to tell stories, because when you only have one frame, and you're not sending, a client a dozen or 20 pictures. You have one image for a magazine, and it's got to tell a story. That's where you learn to use every pixel in the frame. And I have to ask Sue Ann what I said. She probably can repeat it back to me. Something I came up with the other day. I was saying, you're responsible for every pixel in that frame of that picture. So use them wisely, is what I was trying to say. Because if it needs to be tighter, crop it. If it needs to be looser, crop it. If it needs to be in the image, include it. If not, get rid of it. Because you're trying to tell a story, and you want every pixel in that image, in that frame, to mean something. So try and tell a story with every one of those everything in that frame. And if it's not there, get rid of it. And so anyway, hopefully it makes sense to you guys. I really appreciate you joining me tonight, and I hope this has been helpful to you. I've enjoyed it. I was really excited to see the work you guys are presenting. It's fantastic. I just can't get enough of it. So please, again, you don't have to wait till Friday, by the way, or the Friday of the month, first Friday of the month, to be able to submit work. You can do it anytime you want right now. And then I will give you this here, just so you know what it looks like. So you can go to review.photomentor.tv, and you can always submit the images, even though it's not till next month. I'll keep track of them. And again, thanks very much. I really appreciate it. You guys are great. I really enjoy it. Thank you. I appreciate every single one of you. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. You can always shoot me an email to help@photomentor.tv. I'm always happy to reply. A lot of you reach me via direct messaging, and as you well know, I'm usually up all hours of the night and willing to answer crazy questions at crazy times. So anyway, hey, listen, thanks. Have a good evening, and keep shooting.